If you played Geometry Dash, you probably played some really frustrating levels at some point, right? Like, why is this level considered to be so annoying to play, while this one is such a pleasure and I just can't get enough of it? Or even a better question, what makes a gameplay good? Like, if I ask you to rate how good a level is, you're probably gonna look at two main elements: gameplay and decoration. The decoration, you can just look at it and tell if it's pleasing to the eyes or just a colorful mess. However, the gameplay is a little bit more subjective. You have to play it by yourself to see if the transitions are fair or if it has any bugs or glitches in the level. Well, that's a lot of unanswered questions, huh? But my goal in this video is to answer all of them as we dive deep into today's topic: gameplay. So, when we talk about gameplay, the first creator that comes to my mind is, without a doubt, Tamon. Now, Tamon is pretty old school, and if you look at his levels, you'll see that there's nothing too exciting about the visuals. But if you played any of his levels, you'll know that the gameplay definitely makes up for it. But why is that? Well, first of all, the gameplay is very fast paced, which keeps the player more invested in the level, and always on the edge of his seat. Like, you don't know if you have to hold down the button to jump as a robot, or give some light taps to straight fly, or maybe even spam on a wave section. The player has to be prepared for all of that, and this makes the experience more fun and enjoyable. So the first tip is to always be switching game modes. Now, if you're using a slower song, then it would be better to limit it more. However, you have to be careful, because your gameplay could easily become boring, so keep that in mind. Another thing that has a big impact on Tamon's gameplay is the design. The simplicity of the design makes it so it doesn't interfere with the gameplay, which many levels nowadays don't do a good job on it. Levels that are over decorated or have confusing decorations could easily be frustrating, since newer players won't be able to differentiate decoration from actual gameplay. A good example of this monstrosity are the arrows that some people put in their levels. They're supposed to help the player, but instead some creators make them look very similar to a spike, so you don't know if it's gonna kill you or not. I 100% encourage you to use arrows, but try to make them a different color or just with more contrast. Okay, now let's talk about transitions. This was the main reason why I wanted to make this video. A lot of creators still make these mistakes, and this aspect could honestly break your entire level and ruin the experience for the player. Please, make sure that your transitions are free from bugs or glitches. Playtest your levels like a maniac. Try going out of the correct path to see if there are any secret ways, or parts that can be skipped. If you're using teleport portals to transition into another section, keep in mind that the person playing the level don't know what's gonna happen next, so don't forget to give the player some time to react. The golden rule in Geometry Dash is that death should always be the player's fault, so if you suddenly put a teleportation portal that quickly kills the player before he even have time to think about what to do, then your gameplay is honestly not very fair, and that's a costly mistake. I recently had trouble with the bug transition on my level Agitation. Some players reported that was broken on certain refresh rates, and this gave me some headache, to say the least. So make sure that your level don't have bugs on higher refresh rates. Try to avoid doing these things. Another subject that only a few levels do it correctly, even though it's super important, is sync. Synchronizing the music that you're using with the gameplay can seriously make your level like 100 times better. It's a lot cooler to watch and play it. I'll show you a few examples of good sync and you'll know what I'm talking about. Sync can make or break your level. You can either sync the gameplay or the effects, but be careful not to make the effects cover too much of the gameplay. And also, you don't need to sync every click to the song, because it might make it a nightmare to play it without the song or in practice mode. Alright, so you just finished your gameplay. It is fast paced, with very good and fair transitions, the sync is on point. However, is the difficulty of the level well balanced? Is there a part that's much harder than the rest? Well, unbalanced gameplay is one of the most frustrating things that can be in a level, especially the more difficult ones. There are usually some choke points on them. Try to avoid this at all costs. Play the level yourself and see if you're struggling with any specific part. If so, add some small nerfs, or change it a little bit. Make sure the entire gameplay is on the same level of difficulty. A creator that's pretty good at doing this is Heinz. All the parts in his levels are hard, and you can die at any time if you're not paying attention. You can't just go on autopilot when playing his levels. And that's a good thing, because otherwise the level could become boring, making the player lose interest. Now, last but not least, I just want to show you some things that you should never put in your level. Invisible gameplay, off-screen jumps, wacky transitions, invisible or occluded portals, too many auto parts, and too many spam parts. So that's all I wanted to show you guys. I really hope that you learned something useful in this video. If so, leave it a thumbs up, and also subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content like this. As always, thanks for watching.